Right, chaps.
Afternoon.
Another one in the bag. What an amazing topic, conversation. Lots came up, lots was shared. I think lots was opened up for a lot of people as well that probably just weren't aware of or even just thought about. What was your take?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess for those who are listening who may not be aware, so we delivered what we do every 2 weeks for the men in our community. So that we deliver a topic and we go really deep in that topic. So this morning's topic was finding your why, um, and it was evident from when the question was asked. To, I guess, the moments of silence and contemplation and thinking, and then deep dive in the conversation, that actually that question had many connotations and angles and dimensions to it. And it was just fascinating in terms of what people's responses were in terms of what finding their why is. And some people have found their why, and some people are still searching for the why. And is it your why, and was it your parents' why, or your or your partner's why, etc., or a why that's been imprinted from conditioning of society? It's just so much. It just opened up. It's just so much opened up. So there was, like, literally we could have gone on for another few hours, and I think we already decided that we're going to do a part two, aren't we? Yeah. So we've decided that we're going to do another follow-up session of finding your why, because it's a question that people ask themselves so much in life, don't they? It's like, why am I, like, who am I, first of all? Not at a superficial level, but who am I as an identity level? What are my core values? Who am I at the soul level? And what I mean by at the soul level is that, do you really know who you are? Bit of a heavy question for a Saturday afternoon. And are you actually, if you know who you are you the same person on the weekend as the same person in your job, as the same person in your business? And if you're not, then why are you potentially wearing this mask? And I get the fact that to some degree, work is work and business is business and free time is free time. But actually, if there's not elements or ingredients that overflow in the three areas that have a level of authenticity in terms of your character, then are you actually doing the things you should be doing on the weekend? And are you doing the job that you should be doing? And are you doing the business that you should be doing? So it's such a deeper subject that we can go into. And I think the other areas that we looked at is in terms of finding your why. Why should you find your why? Is it okay not to find your why?
Oh,
Of course it is, right? So yeah. So what are you saying, Vijay?
no, I was just going to
Right.
say that just starting the question and starting that inquiry as to
You've gone on
hello to
mute.
Judith
There you
that's
go.
joined us live from New Jersey. Hey Judith, how's it going? It's very easy to get caught up in our to-do lists and all the things that we're doing without actually beginning to question, why are we doing it? Why is this even important in the grand scheme of things? And then, because often we can get into victim mode of, okay, all this stuff is happening to me. I have to do all of these things, these roles, these responsibilities, but never questioning, why is this even important? Or even taking that further step back of, how is this even in alignment to say who I am as a person and what I actually want to do and how I want to even do it? Like, there's so many different entry points, I suppose, but it
Yeah,
kind of
it's
comes back to just, what is the starting point? What is the decision-making process of, and actually, yeah, if we even say, what is even the reason? Like, are we even conscious of why we're doing certain things first and foremost, to even begin to even break this down?
yeah, and I think the word conscious is the operative word, isn't it? It's understanding. I mentioned on the talk earlier on with in our private Zoom talk that over 90% of the activity in our brain actually resides in the unconscious. So our subconscious, actually, not the conscious. So if 90% of our activity resides in subconscious, then that's what's pretty much driving us, but we don't see it as that's driving us. And asking a question, which is, I guess, an internal question, it's okay to rediscover yourself, and people always rediscover yourself, don't they? Is that who in finding your why, who are you? And do you understand who you are at the soul level? And what that means is, are you living a life on authentic terms? That's your version of authentic, and not your partners or parents or societies or teachers or whoever, etc. Or you know, the uncle that everyone has an uncle, or a friend that thinks that they know what's best for you. So I think it's an internal question, and it's a check and balance that you have to ask yourself every day, because we can go through life and almost like a hamster wheel, but not understand what consequences our actions have, and not in terms of consequences in a negative connotation, but actually, what are we doing that's actually positively impacting others' lives? And what is that? Because ultimately, find your why is about joy, right? It's about inner peace. It's about inner happiness, inner joy, and it's doing what you love doing. And if you love doing what you love doing, then, I mean, if you're not doing what you love doing, life is too short for that, right? And I'm not talking about having this dream business or dream job. I mean, just simply, what's your form of expression? And is your form of expression through music or writing or poetry or dance or whatever it is, or yoga, you know, and are you doing the things that you love doing in life? Because that's part and parcel of the journey of understanding and finding your why. Yeah.
It's just fascinating and so layered. So let's say if you're a person right now that's listening in and you're in the rat race, or that hamster on the wheel, and you feel like, let's start with purpose, because I think purpose can be quite a loaded thing. I don't think, firstly, there's one singular purpose that we all have, because our roles and responsibilities change and evolve through time. Like our why and purpose changed the moment we went into lockdown. You know, for you and I, it changed the moment we became dads. So the idea of purpose being this one singular, heavy, big thing is kind of a myth, because it changes. There's micro purpose, there's a macro purpose. So I think the way to begin to even look at that is to break it down into the various different roles and responsibilities that we have in our lives, and then start to question, why is this here? And actually, why am I doing this? Where do I want to get to? So you kind of turn it inward and say, I gave the example in the call about health. Like, why is my health important? Not why do I want to go to the gym?
Mm-hmm.
The action, the how is going to the gym, right? The what is getting the result. But why am I going to the gym? Why am I choosing to eat certain foods and refrain from other foods?
And it's exactly that point, that in the quest for understanding and finding your why, it's asking the question, right? And it's internalizing. So it's like, why? What make, like, literally, like, it's, you know, it's such a complex question, but it doesn't have to be. But it could be such a beautiful, simple question from the viewpoint of, wouldn't life be beautiful if you were just doing what you love, and in doing what you love, you're positively impacting and serving the lives of others, but at the same time, because you're doing what you love, you're filling your own cup first, and then as a byproduct of that, you're helping others. And now that doesn't have to be something profound or visionary. It could be something, or it could be something as simple as, I don't know, doing a community project, for example, helping others, but at the same time, for whatever you experienced in your life, maybe, you know, you came from poverty, or you were deprived as a child, so therefore you now in a place of gratitude. And if you're in a place of gratitude because you're in a better state means not just materialistically, i.e. a roof over your head, or financially, but a better state in terms of conscious living, and consciously you're aware of where you were and what you experienced. And instead of sort of saying, why me? Why me? It's a natural question that we all ask ourselves. I used to say that to myself. I don't say that to myself anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I have very different conversations with myself right now. But I guess it's just transitioning, right, from that place to whatever you experience in life, because life will knock you for six. Let's just not beat around the bush on that. It will knock you for six, and it's getting a shift from mindset shift from understanding of what happened to you, but then moving quickly to, okay, how are you going to react to it? And then what's the lesson learned? And then the lesson learned, what was the real deeper lesson that you learned about yourself in that discovery? And because something I mentioned on the call earlier, like how often do you go, do you sort of let life pass you by, and you pass life by and not understanding what you actually did? So what I mean by that is how often have you guys written down on a pen and paper in a journal what you actually did as a timeline activity each day? And then underneath that, what action did you do? And underneath that, did the action actually benefit you, and did it benefit others? And then underneath that, it's really, really going deep, is that did that action create a feeling of joy within you? And if it did, great, you might be living your life, but you just haven't articulated it yourself in that way. Do you see what I mean?
Totally. And when you make that connection, it just empowers you even more to keep doing what's serving you and filling your cup, so that you're not having to worry about trying to fill your cup, because you're naturally doing that, impacting people, and then growing from there. I just want to share a comment from Judith here on Facebook. I'm exactly at the point in my life that I'm finally surrendering to my purpose and zoning in and removing the layers. I'm just a bit concerned about how I'm going to make money out of it. I'm preparing myself, reading the books, making the connections, clearing my energy, learning about my empathetic abilities. I'm loving every second of it. I had my first healing counseling session yesterday, and she said that she enjoyed the session with me better than her therapist. So I'm exactly where you guys are discussing, but I'm afraid to how to make money because it's me and my son. I'm the only income. I mean, this is such a great example, right?
Yeah, I love that, and thank you. And first of all, so where's Judith joining from?
Judith's based in New Jersey in the US.
Oh, okay, wow. Okay, so welcome, Judith, all the way from New Jersey. I love that question because it's first of all, it makes me smile knowing that you're I think two words stand out for me. Two of my favorite words are empathy and an empath, but also energy. So I think you're clearing, so you're clearing your energy and you're aligning your energy. I think is probably a better way for me to internalize it. And it sounds like you already know what you're doing and you're living your purpose. And it's a question that we always battle, right? How are we actually going to monetize it? And how are we going to provide that roof over our head? But you know what? You've already put yourself out there. And the fact that you put yourself out there, and I think what I heard is you got some positive feedback based on the person that you've, I think it's a healing. She does healing. Does she do, what type of, do we know what type or?
Let's have a look.
It's fine. So you can ask the question. So it's like,
yeah, it's just getting to the root of something.
Yeah. So the fact that you're, see, we all have this gift, right? Literally, we all have this gift, right? And imagine, I'm gonna look at my glass of water here. So imagine there's a lid on this, right? No one knows about it. No one knows nothing about our gift because I put a lid on it, because I'm scared and I'm fearful of what would people think, what would people judge me for, am I going to make money out of it, is this business idea going to work, is this dream job that I'm doing going to work? But actually, until you start pouring the contents of that cup out, and there's no such thing as perfect does not exist. Perfect equals procrastination in my opinion. And I used to suffer that in the past. So the fact that you're already putting yourself out there, you're creating positive experiences, then the natural journey of creating positive experiences is extracting that and contextualizing it, and not the way we normally do in businesses, testimonials and case studies and feedback. And that feedback is a duality. It's feedback knowing that your client, he or she, left with a positive experience, from a healing perspective in your business, but also it's a check and balance in your own confidence, right? Because we all have to have that little pat on the back thinking, am I good at what I'm doing? And if I'm good at what I'm doing, because we all need reassurance in life. It doesn't matter how confident we are. We all need that acknowledgement and that reassurance that it's almost like you're driving and you've got checkpoints along the road, and that's a checkpoint. So the more people you actually pour your cup out to, and you're creating that amazing energy and positive experience, then the more people that they're going to talk about it, right? And then the money, it will literally come. But if you focus on the money, and this is, I've got to be careful what I say because it's important. Yes, you have to have a business plan. Yes, you have to have all this. You have to, all of that. But sometimes, like for me, I'll be really honest with you. And so when I started coaching, and I did it free, and I coached many people for free, people thought I was bonkers, literally thought I was bonkers. But guess what? That was my way of doing it. That wasn't anyone else's way of doing it. So you've got to do what's authentic and right for you, and the money will become a byproduct of it. Like if you're coming from a place of authenticity, and I personally don't know you, Judith, so I'm putting certain assurances that you
I
are
just want
coming
to
from a
step in
place.
on the point that you're saying there. I think it's spot on, because in what she said, the what is the income, the how is the healing and the counseling. The why is why you're doing it, because your why fuels how you're going to do it, which is going to bring together the result that you're after, which is not just income, it's financial freedom ultimately. Because yes, right now she's the only source of income for her family. So there's the concern of, okay, is this going to be financially viable? Now, if you're focusing on the result, you miss out on the process. And the process means that you refine your practice, you get better. To your analogy, it fills your cup because you remind yourself why you're doing it, how you're going to do it, and what's the result going to be. So you switch the attention away from an intangible outcome to a place that you're not there. You can't really control because it hasn't happened, but your energy goes into why you're doing it, which is going to empower you to take the actions, which is the how.
Yeah,
Take
absolutely.
care of the end result.
The very second, and it's perfectly normal, Judith, and many people probably watching this live or on replay will experience it in terms, especially in the current climate right now, where jobs are so scarce and businesses are closing down. But actually, the moment you shift your energy, and I'm going to use the word energy and consciousness to not even income. I would say it's bigger than that. It's what Virat said. It's not income. It's financial abundance. So the second you fixate your energy onto the experience that you're creating for your clients and the positive impact that you're actually enriching their lives with the healing, and however you're delivering that healing, the actual byproduct of that outcome is going to be you experiencing that financial abundance. But the constant conversation that you're going to have, and it's perfectly natural to have, is that until you actually pour that cup out, and you continually to pour it out, and you continually to sort of I've got this acronym that I kind of live by, which is APE, right? So I put it on my social feed. So it's like when you face a situation, A stands for adapt. Okay, so you adapt to the situation, and adapting to this situation is you internalizing and having a conversation, having a check and balance conversation of, does this serve me? Do these people serve me? If it doesn't, great, I'm going to focus my energy onto something what does serve me. And then the P stands for pivoting. Now, pivoting means when to pivot and when not to pivot, and how to pivot. So, for example, when life does knock you for six, and it will, and it has for all of us, is how do you pivot? And in your case, it's how do you pivot your business to still focus on your why and focus on your how. And then in doing that, then the E stands for evolution, right? You're evolving, so you're constantly evolving. And I think if you, it may help, I don't know, it's helped me, so I'm just suggesting it. But I think if you understand and live by that, I think you'll do well, because what will happen is you'll continually focus your energy and pouring your experience and your reason and your authenticity and why you do what you do in the how you're doing it and creating the experience. I think the money definitely will come. Like people know, right, if you're generally good at something or not. They're your best audience in life. Sometimes we think we're amazing at what we do, and it's great to have inner self-belief, but the real test is how many people's lives have you actually impacted. And I know quite a lot of healers. So, and healing is a really, really sensitive word right now, because you know, you've got healers who are really, really, really deep into their spirituality and authentic, and I say that with utmost respect, because then you've got healers who practice healing and actually don't practice healing on themselves, if that makes sense, right? So there's a fine balance between that. I don't want to get too much into that one, but hopefully that helped answer the question.
No, but I think bringing it back, it's as you say, it's adapting, right? I think adaptation, pivot, they kind of interlap. Is sometimes we can get so rigid in what we're doing, we don't take that moment to pause and reflect, to question, hang on, do I even need to be doing this? Where are my priorities? What is important to me? And values then comes up, is what is it that we value most? And I think that's a good way to check in with, are we just leading a life that we've just ended up leading because of conditioning, because of influences growing up, our past, our education, our culture, without taking that moment's pause to even ask ourselves, what is this? Why are we even doing this? Because next thing you know, 20, 30 years will elapse, and you know, there are terms that come up about midlife crisis and regrets at the end of the day, but those moments haven't happened yet we believe that we're going to get to a point where we're going to look back in our life and wonder, what was it that we could have done differently, when we have the power in the moment to choose what we want to do. I just want to say hello to a few more people that have joined live. We've got Nadine, we've got Mark from Spain. How's it going, Mark? Great to see you here. So it's asking that question, and how do you even begin to ask that question? So I shared in the call there's the Ikigai method. Judith, if you want to come live with us, you're more than welcome to join. Let me know and I'll send you a PM to join us on the stream.
Yeah, anybody can join us live if they want to join. Have you posted it? Because I can't see. Have you posted the question?
No, I've not. If anyone wants to join, they'll post in the chat, and I'll DM them the Zoom details to jump on the stream.
No, I meant have you posted the question of the topic, finding your why?
Finding your why, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So welcome. So welcome everyone. But so you're welcome to do a deep dive. This is where especially the women get to come online and I guess to have a deep dive Q&A, because the event obviously that we put on is only for men, and the reason for that is because our sister group is called Mental Wealth, and that's specifically for women only. So that's, we're just trying to maintain the integrity of the group. But the only reason we're doing this live on Facebook is because we've had a lot of requests from men and women, but especially women, saying they want to join our conversation, they want to join our chat. And I've had a couple of private messages from people who are saying, oh, that's an interesting topic, I'd love to join you guys. So that's why we're doing what we're doing, and we're literally here to attempt to answer questions if we can, based on our own experience, and also learn from you guys, right? So we're not experts. So what we're doing is we're just creating a space for Mindful Men's Club, really to serve the community of men that we have. And every 2 weeks we go very, very deep into different topics, and there's no topic that's taboo. I think it's important to mention that, Raj, as well. We talk about, I mean, do you want to just list some of the topics that we've talked about?
We've talked about masculine, feminine energy and what that means, and how conscious we are of how much of that we even carry. Our next session is going to be on caste, color, and privilege, which, again, given what's going on in the world right now, is a very pertinent subject in terms of what goes on in our sort of micro communities around the world, different cultures, and the type of conversations that come up. So not just based on skin color, but class and caste and these types of things. Money mindset was a pretty powerful one that we did as well. And this is all led by the people that participate in it and want to have these conversations, as well as regular check-ins of reflections that we have as well. And I think just on where we were before, this guy keeps coming up, but Simon Sinek, his TED talk on starting with why, and obviously he talks about it in a business sense, where he compares certain tech companies, and essentially they all create the similar type of product, but what stands Apple out more is that they put their why at the forefront of what it is that they're doing as their driver, which is what differentiates them from everyone else.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing to see, in a sense of like, and actually it makes you, and makes us all question how much of our why is our driver versus just the result that we're after, and how we're going to do it. Another good technique to sort of even begin that inquiry is ikigai, which is really the Japanese model of finding your reason to be. And it just asks 4 simple questions of finding the intersections between what is it that you love, what is it that you're good at, what is it that you can be paid for, and what is it that the world needs. And the idea is that when you can speculate and connect all those different quadrants, what you will find is that your passion, your mission, your profession, and your vocation all become part of how you operate. Therefore, you're living a fulfilled life in alignment to what you deem is your driver. And you can only imagine what experiencing that type of life looks like. And that's something that's within all of us to connect the dots to. But yet we're so unconsciously going into autopilot mode and being in the rat race and trying to pay bills and all that kind of stuff, and feeling what I would assume most people feel is at a very high level of unfulfillment and feeling like there's more without even knowing how to start.
Yeah, and a great example of no time like the present is literally because of the current situation of I'm not going to mention the word, but the current situation of what's happening with the lockdown, etc. If that's not the catalyst of change, then what is? If that's not the time to ask yourself and internalize and have a conversation with yourself and understand, are you really doing what you're doing that matters to you? Not that's a footprint that's been left on your life by subconsciously by someone else or whoever that is, basically. So what I mean by that is, are you living your life on your authentic terms, or are you living somebody else's life? Because life is too short to live somebody else's life. And there's many ways to do it, right? The Ikigai sort of approach and system, and I guess for me that scratches the surface a little bit, and I'll explain why in a bit, but it's a great starter. There's the Simon Sinek video. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it, because although it talks about a business context, actually it's deeper than that. It's you can contextualize it and take it on a personal context, so you can apply that into your actual personal life. I mean, three different questions that I normally ask myself is that, name 3 words that describe you at your soul level. That's a big question, right? I don't expect anyone to potentially answer that. If you do, great. If you've got it, you can drop it in the chat, etc. And then name your form or forms of expression. So whether that's poetry, dance, music, writing, spoken word, painting, whatever that is, etc. And then 3 qualities that you enjoy about yourself. Now, I've just literally just made that up and kind of just asked those 3 sort of fundamental questions, but essentially it's the same principle as what Simon Sinek's doing, or the Ikigai approach, etc. And what you're doing is you're internalizing and you're extracting what's already in your subconscious, and then you're aligning it with your conscious mind and thinking, oh wow, I didn't know that about myself. And what happens when you put pen to paper? It's a transfer of energy, right? So you're transferring thought. It's transcending from your brainwave, from your thought, your feeling, your emotion, through your hands, whether you're left-handed or right-handed, through your ink or pencil, onto paper. And when you do that, guess what? There's a level of authenticity there, because it's your thoughts that you're extracting, no one else's. And when you put pen to paper and you start to actually visualize that, and you realize what defines you and who you are, your soul identity, you start to be authentic about yourself. And when you're authentic about yourself, other people can see, other people know when you're living your authentic life. And it's not about them knowing it, it's just about then that energy is gravitated towards you, and your energy is gravitated towards them. And that's what I guess we define as the circle of influence. So when you're defining who you are and you know who you are, you have a choice. So you can say no to people who no longer serve you, right? And there will be loads of people in your life who no longer serve you. And I mean that in a really nice, respectful way. And you can say no to opportunities that aren't aligned to your core inner beliefs.
I suppose that's obviously a place you want to get to, but sometimes you are so entrenched in your life that you can't say no to people, you can't say no to your job, you can't say no to your immediate circle, because that in itself is the leap and that is the process. But I think it's beginning to speculate and identify what's serving you and what's draining you as the entry point, and beginning
Yeah,
to
yeah.
question why that's there and how it's there, to then see, okay, and the key is not to allow the overwhelm. It's just an awareness piece. And I think that's the first step, is once you become aware of what's immediately around you, what's in your circle of concern and influence, you can then begin to piece by piece put that together. And I feel that that's a trap that we all fall into, is we try to cause these massive paradigm shifts in our lives and cause overwhelm, whereas actually allowing it piece by piece to begin to click and turn into place, kind of like untying a knot. You can't just
Hmm.
do the whole thing in one go on a big ball of string, but you do one, it creates a ripple. You do another, it creates a ripple, and then piece by piece by piece, you feel that you're in a little bit more of a flow, and that you've got some sort of momentum.
It's definitely, yeah, I think you're right. It's 100%. It's definitely an awareness, and it's having that awareness, and it's and we touched on it earlier, in just a few moments after we finished our Zoom call, didn't we, Viraj? It's like
Hmm.
people are on this quest, or this massive discovery of I mean, everyone keeps quoting about it. It's like the two most important times in your life, and we've heard it so much, which is the moment you're born, and then the moment you understand why. But I actually think there's a third moment on there, and the
We
third
shared
one
this
is
last
like,
time.
yeah, yeah, and it's not just the moment you're, obviously it's a great time when it's, when you take birth, because that's your birthday. It's a celebration of life, etc. But the second one, people quite often talk about, is when you discover your why. But actually, it's deeper than that. You can discover your why, but you might not be living your why. So
Hmm.
that's more important, I think, from my perspective, because discovering, like discovering yourself is like the start of the journey, and understanding who you are and living your purpose, that is the journey.
Exactly. It, yeah, exactly that. And so much of it, so much we hear in the personal development space is about, yes, find your why and do all of that stuff. But again, that's, as you said, that's just the start point. Knowing it doesn't really make a difference. It's how you begin to action it and begin to build the steps, the habits, the systems in your life. Like Atomic Habits is another great example of a book where it talks about your um, your um, your habits, your almost your identity is at the source of everything that you're doing, not what it is that you're after. Because
Mhm.
again, in Simon Sinek's example, the what is what you're after, but the what is somewhere in the future that you can't really control or influence. And you're kind of trying to do all of these things, but not really making those inroads. But when you connect to, okay, why do I want this thing? Who do I need to become? Then from
Yeah,
that place, what do I need to start to do so that I can action?
absolutely. And it's the act, yeah, you literally reminded me of a post I put on my social media. If you don't mind, I'm going to share it again, because I think it's quite timely. So I literally said, what did I say? I said um, something along the lines of imagination, something, I can't remember exactly word for word, because I just write whatever comes to my mind when I'm inspired. But I wrote something along the lines of imagination has no meaning unless you have implementation. And it's like, and I made the analogy, it's like you seeing water but not being able to drink it.
Yeah,
So yes, you can imagine all your life, all your life, and imagining is great, because that's your inner child, right? And we talked about inner child in one of our previous talks as well. And everybody should embrace who their inner child is, because that's when your creative genius comes out. That's when your real free spirit comes out. But it's also taking small steps. I'm not even talking about macro, just small, minute steps. And when you look back, you think, okay, there's a few footprints that I've left behind, and I know where I'm going. I may trip up, it's fine. I'm going to dust myself up, and get up again, and just move forward. And it's okay if your why changes, because we talked about that, right? A lot of the why for men in our chat literally an hour ago changed, and it's okay, and it will change because it's a discovery. It's an internal discovery that you're forever on, and it's okay to do that. But if you don't create new experiences and you don't meet new people, you're just going to be surrounded by the same things in your life. And it's okay if the same things give you joy, right? But if they don't give you joy, then what are you doing about it? Like literally, what are you doing about it?
Yeah. So I think the key distinction here is to switch the context of why from to victim to be at the source of, okay, what happens? Because very often we're very quick to ask, why me? Why does this happen to me? Versus, okay, why am I doing this? Like, it's again, you're looking at switching it. It's still the same three words, but it's the intention
Yeah,
behind it.
I think it's natural to ask why me, right? Let's really kind of be honest. I've done that, previously as well.
Hmm.
But it's shifting the consciousness of moving from whatever it is that's happened to you to whatever lesson or experience you've learned from it, and then channeling and focusing your energy onto using that as a strength, as opposed to a disabler. So use it as an enabler in your life. And I think that's what we're, yeah. I think
And the
that's what we're
hack to
trying to say.
that, even the hack to that is what we talked about, was we use the example of when people grow up in poverty, their driver is to not to be poor. So it's a problem-based why versus a solution-based why.
And that's
So
because they're coming from a place of, and it's not their fault, but
like,
that's because they're coming from a place of scarcity mindset, right?
yeah,
Because they've been in survival mode, and
exactly.
it's
There's this study, I
yeah.
think, that shows that people that have won the lottery, that have come from a quote unquote poor background, have found ways to get rid of the money
Because they
because they're
don't believe
still
that
focused
yeah,
on the lack.
yeah, they don't believe that they deserve it or they should have it because they've
Yeah.
never, they've no, I've read that. I think I've read that somewhere before as well. And it's true, but it's scary, right? Because it goes to show you that how many of us are living in a scarcity mindset. And we all go through it. I've been through it. But the second you realize and you shift your consciousness from you can call it scarcity mindset, you can call it fixed mindset, and then shift it to a growth mindset. And the growth mindset is just basically you being open to new experiences and open to new things that are going to come into your life and new people that are going to come into life. And I think once you're in that mode and that energy, then life does tend to basically show up in the right way. I guess is the way I'd articulate that.
And what I'm hearing in that is the power of affirmation versus affirmation. Whereas an affirmation is you're repeating something over and over again, whether it's a positive or a negative, it's still a regular affirmation. Whereas an affirmation is really an empowering question that assumes what you want is already true and has already happened, and you're pulling yourself towards that
Mm-hmm.
rather than questioning, why am I stuck here?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
guess
and
what?
there's different.
You tell your subconscious mind, tell me why am I stuck here? It'll tell you why I'm stuck
Yep.
here. You ask your subconscious mind, how have I got the thing that I've already won? It'll begin to create, and you will identify those opportunities that will bring that closer to you.
Absolutely, and I think everybody's probably got their own routine that they have every day. But if you don't have, and I can share mine if anybody's interested. But look, if you don't have a routine, and by routine I mean routines and rituals, and they're two different things. And if you don't like have a morning conversation, let's call it conversation. Let's not get too deep to spirituality, but let's call it conversation. I can get too deep if you want me to, but let's call it a conversation. If you don't have a conversation at the very early part of your morning routine, and whether that conversation is meditation, whether it's chanting, whether it's just smiling in the mirror, whether it's saying, yep, whether it's basically positive affirmation statements, etc., whether it's a gratitude journal, whatever it is that you're doing that works for you, that is right for you, because what's right for you may not be right for somebody else, and vice versa. That's the first place to start from. And what Viraj was mentioning earlier on is that transferring that conscious energy to not being from a lack of not having it, scarcity, but to actually, irrespective if you've got it or not, to actually believe it. Now, I'm not just talking about the secret concept. It's much deeper than that, right? Because the secret concept doesn't work unless you're taking action. Let's just really be honest with everyone, right?
Oh, it's
So
still conceptual until you actually do something about it.
yeah, absolutely. So you can program yourself all you want, but unless you're taking micro action every day, and micro, like the tiniest step forward, because as beings, we're as human beings, we're beings of connection, right? So we crave connection, and that connection could be a connection to our goal, connection to our vision, connection to our why, connection to people, and whatever it is. So unless you're taking micro action with it, then it's not going to work. Something I do, I've mentioned it to a few close friends, and I think I mentioned it on the Zoom call a few times, is I have 7 conversations with the universe. And each conversation that I have with the universe is based on each area of my life that I want to basically move closer towards finding inner joy. That it's as simple as that. And I'm just saying this to myself. And every single day, irrespective, I actually don't care if I've got there yet. And I think 4 out of the 7 conversations, it's actually materialized. And I'm not even making this up. This is like, Rohaj, you know this, and Havan knows this, and Saga knows this, etc. to be true. And some of my other close friends know this. So it's just one of those things that there's nothing stopping you doing what you want to do in life, and believing in who you want to believe in, and that person is you. And
Exactly.
don't live other people's dreams. Like, life is too
On that
short.
note,
Just live. Yeah.
No, totally. I was just gonna say on that note, like Judith's just commented on the chat here as well, is teaching people how to trigger the mind is actually the experience the energetic field of mental focus is triggering, because we've been affected by energy of so many things, like parents, podcast experience, etc. Combining my still self to my mind, I experience the strength and clarity, and I get my why that is in my DNA. Now, it's interesting just in that. I think that's such a great example of why is your still self and your mind distinct? Whereas on one sense, you can say there's this sort of, inner self, and then there's the false ego and the gross body. But sometimes if we were to look at our experience from an observer's perspective, like we're looking at it, how would we look at someone else? What you're saying there in terms of the conversations that you have with the universe and with yourself as an observer, that's a very quick way to begin to notice all of the chatter and all of these blocks and barriers and beliefs that we put in front of ourselves that no one else does, to then question, why is that even there?
Yeah. I mean, it is a simple route, and there's nothing special about what I do. Everyone can do it, but essentially what I'm doing is, I think I covered this last time. Okay, yeah. So I'll mention this again. So let's say in Judith's case, because she gave a real example, right? So she's trying to provide for her son. So let's say, Judith, that your challenge is this. So it's here on the left-hand side, or don't know what Facebook is doing to me, whether it's on the right or left, but anyway, my hands are here. So let's say your challenge is here, which is to attain financial freedom, right? In your business of healing. Great. Acknowledge it. It's fine. It's there. Now, let's say how you get there, you don't know, because you're having that internal question, etc. And that's on this side. And in the middle, all you're doing is you're creating space. And the way you create space is by understanding that you're not your mind, and you're the observer of your mind. So what I mean by that, let me go a little bit deeper. So when you're saying that you're the observer of your mind, what you're doing is you're giving yourself a microsecond, even just a microsecond of pause and clarity, to say, actually, that's my challenge. This is who I am. This is the space for me to think freely, to subconsciously and consciously. And then once I give myself space, I'm not going to get consumed by what I don't have. And I'm just going to take micro steps and have a conversation every single day with myself, no one else, with myself, and just get closer subconsciously to what your goal is. And I swear to you, Judith, if you just try and attempt that, you'd be surprised. With obviously taking some micro actions every day and every week, you'd be surprised what comes and what shows up in your life.
Other perspective, just to delayer this a little bit further, is if the why is to provide an income, let's just say that's providing that income for family. There are infinite ways to do that. Now, when you're adding something else into the mix and that doesn't click, it's still distinct from the income because there are many different ways. It's when sometimes we can make the mistake of putting all of the eggs in one basket, saying, I want to provide an income, I want to achieve financial freedom, and I want to achieve it doing this. And one of those things doesn't happen, guess what? You start to question yourself. Whereas if you want to delay that and say, okay, one why is to provide financial income. The other why is to feel fulfillment. You can still attain fulfillment whilst doing a job that you don't like, let's, for argument's sake. And you can still be in process of merging the two without any attachment to how it goes, because you're still ticking two boxes. And I feel the mistake that sometimes we will make is that we feel that I want to achieve this, this, and this because it's going to make me feel this, this, and this. But there are three separate whys potentially at play just in that instance. So it's actually being able to distinguish what you value versus what you need. Start a process and then look for the opportunities where they can come together without being attached to whether they should come together.
Mm-hmm. And there'll be plenty of opportunities. Imagine there's two doors, literally. Like imagine there's two doors. The left one side of the door is a door of imagination and possibility, right? And we all do that at night because we will do that in our theta wave. Theta wave is basically our dream state, right? Yeah. So that's easy to do because we all walk through that as I dream I've won a lottery, or I dream I'm on a beach in Jamaica, wherever you call it, right? I mean, that's on my bucket list. That's why I mentioned Jamaica. I just thought I'd get that in there to positively influence the universe in that way, right? But what I'm trying to say is that imagine, yeah, exactly. But imagine the other door that you have. So the first door is easy to walk through because we do that in our dream state every day at night, subconsciously. But the door that we seldomly walk through is a door of implementation. So we have imagination and we have implementation. And implementation is literally daily action. So what daily action are you doing? And that daily action could be something as simple as talking to other healers and posting on their group and doing it from a place of love. And that might open up an opportunity of collaboration. I mean, you just never know, right? But you've got to put yourself out there, and I mean really out there. Take this for example. Viraj is testament to know that if you asked me to go on live 2 years ago, I would cringe. I would literally cringe. Like I'm like no. I'm not
You and me
doing it.
both.
I'm just being honest, right? Super honest. But now I don't look at it as a live. It's just a tool. It's just a medium. I'm still having a conversation. I'm still present in this moment, whether I'm doing it face to face, over the phone, or WhatsApp. My energy is still present in this very moment. So if my energy is present in this moment, why have I created this facade or fear of going on alive? And I think life is full of these little moments, right? And I think if we just take a pause and reflect and just sweep them away and actually embrace doing something that makes you seriously uncomfortable, that's where you're going to experience exponential growth in your area, whatever that is.
And it's the willingness to just give it a go and just start speculating, just see where it goes, rather than trying to create the perfect outcome in our mind but never take the step.
Who cares if you fail, right? Like, there's so much expectation and judgments built up on us from others if we fail. What was it? Okay, yeah. So this failing thing comes from fear, right? And the word fear, I mean, having fear is not a bad thing. It's having the courage to overcome the fear is going to basically, is going to basically get you to where you get to. So fear just stands for false expectation of an alternative reality that may never actually come true. Exactly. So why believe it? Yeah. Listen, we can talk for hours. I think we have to go. I can't see anyone on the chat, but say a big shout out to everyone who's on the chat.
No, thank you, Judith, for the interaction. Barul, great for you joining us. Annette, Prakash, Nadeem, Srihari, Jana, various people have joined us midway through. Love to hear your comments in the chat afterwards. If you're watching on replay, we're going to be checking in every so often. But I think the thing that I think we should leave everyone with in terms of start finding your way, start asking. Be curious, discover it, and it's not fixed. Just see where it takes you and what questions it brings up, and embrace it.
Yeah, definitely. Like that. Yes, be super curious. Like ask yourself every day. And it's okay to reinvent yourself every day. And by reinventing yourself, you're going to discover who your true authentic self is if you don't already know. And just keep asking yourself those questions and embrace new experiences, because if you don't get out there and you don't ask and have conversations with different people, nothing will change, right? Because we all know that you're the product of the six or seven people that you hang around with, etc. I'm not saying that you hang around with good or bad people, it's irrelevant, but you guys know what that does energetically to your life, and if it serves you or not. And it's just having that daily check and balance and asking yourself. I mean, if there's any questions that you have about this subject, please post them on the chat. We literally go through every single question, and then we'll attempt to answer those questions to continue the engagements. If you do have any specific questions, please drop them on the comments, and then we're happy to answer them, etc. Alternatively, if there's a topic that you want us to discuss that we haven't talked about yet, please drop it in the comments, because no topic is taboo. We talk about pretty much anything and everything, and I think the past few sessions that we've done is evidence to that. So I think on that note, I think thank you so much for anyone who's joined. Thank you for your interaction. Thank you to all the men who continue to support us and show up at our events. Thank you for the new faces that we keep seeing every 2 weeks, etc., on our Zoom call. And thank you to the women who support us. Actually, a majority of the followers on our group on Mindful Men's Club are actually women, about 40%. So thank you for sharing this with the men in your life. And and have a really, really blessed weekend.
Take care, guys. Catch you in a bit.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.